Hey everybody, it's your boy Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show, your favorite gentleman. And today you all are in for an absolute treat. This man coming to the stage is an absolute powerhouse and a dynamic speaker. And this man is moving mountains in businesses. He has worked with many businesses across the globe, across the United States, and he has helped change that vantage point, change the perspective on how businesses can create revenue even in a pandemic. You won't want to miss 1 second of this dynamic speaker. Stay tuned, stay with us, stay engaged. You won't want to miss 1 second. Here we go. Welcome, everyone. This is your favorite gentleman, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. Today, I want to welcome this incredible powerhouse speaker, Mr. John Hastie. He is well known as, he goes by many different names. He enjoys leadership and puts business owners in position to absolutely win. He's called by many things: the revenue turning point expert, the creator of the revenue turning point system, active turning point specialist, the rainmaker who has raised as much as $40 million of capital in 18 months. He is recognized as an effective public speaker and trainer by the national associations, including special recognition by the president of Toastmasters International for training new club development teams and helping them reach a district turning point. He's also known as the value creator and thanked by Rob Dickinson, president of PPTF, for quickly reversing a 7-year decline in revenue. I call John an industry genius. He trains businesses like us how to move past unseen blockades to reach a revenue turning point, even when many think it cannot be done. He is a master at creating simple structures that can bring you dramatic results fast. You'll love and you'll profit from his message. And this message today is titled 5 Simple Steps to Rapidly Reach a Revenue Turning Point. Help me welcome to the stage the incredible, the amazing Mr. John Hastie.
Well, thank you very much, Marcus. It's been a pleasure starting to know you and reaching out to your audience. We're here today primarily to serve the audience. I've had a lot of experience over the years and picked up a few things here and there, and I know people have been challenged. And we've been talking, and I sort of lived my dream. I ended up sneaking out of corporate America for a little while and wandering off into the woods. We had 365 acres on a couple of lakes, and it was wonderful. but I didn't feel like I was making the contribution that I was meant to make. And then I watched what was going on, and I thought, I need to step back up. And the grandkids, they need me. They do need me, but they don't need me all day, every day. So I'm picking up some private clients now and making a difference. And since there are so many people in need, I'm also reaching out and helping train audiences more and more around the globe. We got an invitation to visit China in September, and we'll be going to Australia next, and a few other places coming up down the road. So it's getting exciting, and I really do enjoy the work and enjoy seeing the difference that can be made when a team, wakes up and starts to see that there's hope again. And that's the focus. The key here, and you got the title right, it's 5 simple steps to reaching a revenue turning point, especially when nobody thinks it's possible. And I didn't understand that when I was first going back. When I started to look back at what created the most value out of my entire career, it was this capacity to see things a little bit differently and to help an organization reach a revenue turning point. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to really focus on the first couple of steps in our process and then lightly touch on the others, because the first couple of steps really include the heart and soul of our system. And my hope is that some of you out there who may be experiencing flat or declining revenues, especially over time, at least 3 months or so, and you're starting to feel that pressure that comes from flat or declining revenue. My hope is that you'll gain some insights today that'll help you get started moving towards your own revenue turning point. This is really all about service. At the end, I do have, if you stick with me, I've got a summary of the 5 steps that are a free gift to you, and I'll make sure that if you don't let me, Marcus, get off without making sure they've got the link. I'll make sure that you've got access to that, so that you can go through the details. You don't have to worry about taking a lot of notes during our time here together. It really is a simple process, but it's not obvious. And it's not one that I saw in the beginning. When I started out in corporate America, I did the usual stuff. I was called in as a marketing guy, and I got my MBA in marketing and marketing research. And I would start by trying to get people together for focus group sessions to think outside the box and come up with great ideas to solve problems and get past things. And pretty quickly, I decided that when people are having a challenge and a team's feeling the challenge, depending on their leadership, some more flexible than others, but when you gather them all in a room, it's a little difficult for them to come up with their bright and shining best ideas, partly because they are challenged by what's going on, partly because the leadership may be in attendance and they're not free to express all their crazy ideas. But what I really discovered was that there is, in almost every case, there is a core belief amongst the team that is stopping them. And so no amount of brainstorming, no special new marketing guru, no special marketing technique was going to be able to save the day or turn things around, because they were facing a belief that it couldn't happen. And this surprised me. So what I did was I started reversing the process. And for me, the first step in our process is what I think of as a little bit of rapid and creative research. And I've got the marketing MBA, and I can go on forever with marketing. I do love that stuff with marketing research and analysis. But and that can be a rabbit hole that a lot of folks go down. But I'm telling you that it really is just all I need is a quick review of the industry, the things that are challenging the industry, a few examples of organizations that are doing well despite the odds, and a couple other things driven by the challenge of the team. And I can go out and do some quick research, and usually under a week to 2 weeks, that is more than enough to get my brain working. And once I've got that as the basis, I've got step 1 clear, some creative and rapid research. Then the second thing in our process is identifying the unseen blockages that are holding you back. And what's fascinating is how hard they are to see when you're on the team, how hard they are to see when it's in your face. So what I'll do is I'll go around to everyone on the team, all the leadership positions, and then if nobody's looking, I'll get to some of the frontliners who really know what's going on, and I'll have some private chats with them, and let them, I let them express any good ideas they have or things that they think should be done. And there's usually some of that to be farmed. But where I really get the gold is by letting the hair down and spending enough time with them so they're comfortable telling me why they think there's a real problem, why they think the company can't get to a turning point. And when I do that, I get very, very excited if everybody on the team is agreeing on 1 or 2 items that are stopping the company. Because I know that that even though they're not seeing it, the solution is just the other side of that coin. If I can find out what everybody believes is stopping them, then a solution is not far away. And that's really the heart and soul of what we do first. You can't move forward unless you get past this. So, and I'm telling you that in every case that I've worked on, there has been a small number, 1 or 2 core beliefs that have been stopping forward momentum, stopping forward progress. And teams, I've dealt with teams that have been declining for 6 years, 5 years. Everybody's on board, and this has just a subtle negative impact on the team over time, and they get really wrapped up in their attachment to these unseen blockages, these core beliefs, because, their job is fairly secure for now. And some of them may have already started kind of poking around looking for other jobs. And if they've got this issue that they could all hang their hat on, then, it's really not their fault. It's a problem, but, nobody else could do any better because of, this thing we all believe. And so the team gets wrapped up into it. It sucks the energy out of the team. And you can see the impact like that this decline has over time, or this flat revenue has over time, especially in teams I've worked with, which have been great teams that have had tremendous success in the past. And now they're locked in a spot where they're secure. They've got a paycheck, but the ship is slowly sinking, and everybody's holding hands and singing "Kumbaya." But they got no real way of bailing fast enough to stop it. And so we all have our own little gifts and talents. And what came to me over time was this possibility of seeing things a little differently. So I will take that, and I didn't realize until recently when I started looking at this, I've got a real process for this. So once I find what the core belief is, and in one case, it was a company that to a person, man, woman, everybody on the leadership team believed that they were regulated under an enabling statute, a piece of law. And that piece of law told them that they could not do the things that the competitors were doing to eat their lunch. And so, they just all believed it's the law. We can't go beyond it. We can't do the things the competitors are doing. And so I said, well, that's interesting. And they all believed it. So I said, great, get me a copy of the law. I like to read it. And, and so I read through the thing, and I found one simple sentence. It said in the law that we could do marketing. I said, well, problem solved. And, everybody looked at me like I had three heads. And I said, you don't understand. I mean, marketing can have the definition that it's not defined in the law. You can do whatever you need to do. I'm telling you, you can do everything that competitors are doing and more, and you're a better company, and you have a better product. And they're all shaking their heads. So I threw a couple of them in a sedan. We drove all the way up to the capital of the state. We went marching down the hall to the little tiny office that was regulating this multi-billion-dollar company. And I knock on the door, and I go in, and I sit down with a guy and the people that I dragged along. And I said, listen, we're getting our lunch handed to us. You know that, right? And they go, yes. And I said, well, you don't want us going bad on your watch, do you? Oh, no. I said, well, we think marketing means this and this and this and this and this. And he goes, yeah. Go. Problem solved. And so, I got back in the car with the dumbstruck fellows that I was with, and we went back. And even then, there's some people on the team that just can't believe that it's that simple. And in fact, they're attached to the idea that it shouldn't be that simple because, I work, and the whole thing is to make the team grow and go. And it's not about me. I mean, I do enjoy it, but you got to remember, I'm there to make them into heroes, not to aggrandize myself. My hope is one day they'll tell somebody that it worked, and we'll go from there. And that's the way that most of the businesses come over time. But we got back, and some people were on board right away, and others on the team were, waiting for evidence. They wanted to put their hand in the hole and make sure it's still that it's true. And I said, so then we got back. We had some people that were ready and willing to cooperate with some minor tests, and we had a leader, fortunately, within the group who was feeling the pressure. And it's I wish sometimes that I could get with people much earlier in the process, but frankly, I work best with leadership that has seen the challenge, hopefully before the board of directors has noticed and started asking. But I need somebody who's seen the challenge and felt the challenge, and they've tried some things. They brought in a new guy. They've tried different things that just should have worked but didn't work, and they can't figure out why. And because these people, when they've seen the challenge and they felt it and they're losing a little sleep over it, Well, then when I come up with a few ideas in a row to test and try, they're more open to listen. Some small budget items we can test right out of the box and see what happens. And sometimes those new ideas are a little bit outside their normal range of acceptable marketing efforts. And so I've got a little more flexibility when I've got somebody that's feeling like they really need to get the job done. And so then we move into a process, and let me just tell you about the testing. So if I get a new idea, this little testing process I go through still while we're in the second step, it is really three things. When I hear them tell me what they believe is wrong and what's stopping them, the first thing I do is check to see if it's true. So in this case, I went and read the statute and found, sorry guys, it's not true. You can do what you need to do. And if it is true, then my second, and I've had cases where it was, they had a belief about what was stopping them and it was true. Well, then the second question is, okay, it is true, but does it really have the impact that you think it does? I mean, you think that the law is stopping you. Well, is it? Is there a fine? What's the challenge if you were to step outside the box a little bit? I mean, in insurance, you never want to do that. You always want to wear the white hat. But how you've got some accountants that'll go close to the edge. Some will put their toe near the edge. Others put their toe over the edge, and you probably want to find a new accountant. But you've got options. And insurance, it's a little tougher because of the regulation. But in any industry and in any case that I've worked with, you'll find that if you ask that second question, yep, my God, it is true. But is it really having the impact? Is it really stopping us in the way that I think? That second question will sometimes be the open door for you that you don't recognize. In one case, we had a company that believed that they could not use a distribution channel. And I checked. It was true. Their founders and their members, they were a mutual. They were owned by their membership. They felt like we shouldn't pay anybody to bring us business. We should bring in our own business. Why can't our members just bring us business? And
by referrals, you mean?
Yeah, bring business because it was an insurance. That was an insurance company, and they could bring it direct to the company. You can. So you've got different models of distribution for insurance companies. They just didn't want to use agents, and so I tested, and it was true. I later argued about that, and we expanded our distribution. But at that time, they did not want to use agents, and they had been losing a tremendous amount of money, millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars every year. And so, then you ask yourself, okay, what's the way around this? Well, the way around it was we came up with several little plans, and we just started testing them. And the one that worked was I just identified 200 hospitals and the leadership at 200 hospitals, and we identified 2 names of good physicians at those hospitals, and we just got in the car and went to 200 hospitals, knocked on the door and said, hey, we would like to have some new members. We in order to keep the premiums down, the best way to get new members for your mutual is for you to refer them in and make sure that they're good doctors, that they are doctors you wouldn't mind sharing risk with. And so nobody knows, but behind the scenes, I quietly built a 400 membership committee. And in 6 months, a long-standing decline in revenue was reversed. And the team did not think that was going to be possible until there was a change in legislation, because the regulators were setting the rates and ruling the company. So they didn't think that was possible till there was a change of regulation. Everybody was fighting for a change of regulation. But again, this was a company that had a better product, a much better team, a better defense, everything that you would look for in a company like that. And they just believed that they couldn't sell because there were some young whippersnappers that were charging a lower price, and because they didn't want to use a distribution system. So it turned around very quickly. And that company later on was bought by Warren Buffett, who really liked what he saw. So we changed some products and put in some other things along the way. We went from $3 billion in value to about $5 billion. And Warren called that a little gem of a company. He really liked it. So that was gratifying. So the key is, yeah, go ahead.
Have you ever experienced, so John Maxwell is a well-known speaker as well, just as clout as yourself. He calls it the law of the lid, where leadership can stagnate a business and bad leadership can stagnate the growth of a business. Have you ever come across a situation where bad leadership stagnated the revenue stream of a company? And what did you do about it?
Well, and it's interesting the way that you voice that, because I've seen it happen with great leadership because of these hidden blockages. So I tend to investigate firms before I play with them, because I like to work with people that have a product that I can believe in, because I just can't help market something that I don't in my gut believe in. And so these were great teams. And so and it became endemic because they held the belief and the middle management held the belief. It circulated through the company. And there was this malaise that falls over the team. And so you begin not to try things that you might try, because in the back of your mind, you're thinking, well, yeah, but I can't compete on price. So, yeah, but right. I got to fight an agent, and yeah, but they're cheaper. And I'm thinking, yeah, they're cheaper, but they ought to be. I mean, the Volkswagen's cheaper than a Mercedes. You don't see them have any problem selling those. So, and maybe not every customer is for you. We just got to get over ourselves sometimes. So what's interesting about what you said, and I hadn't noticed it until right now, is that even great teams with good people, in each seat, there was somebody great. And still they were stagnant or declining in revenue because they believed that it was not possible to do something about it. So even if they bring in a new guy, within a week or so, he's at the water cooler or online, and somebody's telling him, we've got this problem with the statute. I don't know if they let you know or not. I know you signed on, and it's kind of too bad, but good luck. It's like, so the new guys are indoctrinated with this poisonous new belief before they're even finished with their first 90 days. So good luck. And so it's fascinating to realize that even great teams and good people can stagnate the operation and the revenue because of a simple belief. And so that's kind of the message I'm sending home here in step 2. If you and I never get to, I'm looking through the camera now, right at you. If you and I never get to work together, my hope today is that you'll walk away scratching your chin and going, I think I know something, but maybe it's not true. And the first question is it true? The second question is, hey, okay, it is true, but is it really having the impact that we all believe it has? I was talking to one guy in production and manufacturing, and he had a belief about where he could market and limitations of his marketplace. And I heard him telling me all this, and my first question, I'm just wired that way. My first question is, I wonder if that's true. It's like, because they haven't really tested it. They believed it. They read it someplace, heard it from somebody. It was like, pardon me, but it's a little like sex in high school. Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody thinks something, but you might not get all the right facts early on in those quick young discussions. So these guys, these guys believed it to be true, and I started investigating, and it simply was not true. So that's your first question. And the second question is it, if it is true, and in their case, it was interesting. It was true-ish in some markets, but does it have the impact? No, there's a way around it. You've got to establish distribution channel there. You don't have to sell everything yourself. You go make some friends and give them a little bit of the money along the way, and you've got a new team out there that's happy to bring you business. So, so those are the first two and probably most important questions: is it true? Is it going to have the impact that we think it has? And then that third question: well, if it is true and it really does have an impact on the business, is there some way around it? Is there some way around it? Can we get in the car and go to 200 hospitals? I mean, who thinks of this stuff? And for me, this stuff comes as a natural result of the step one. You do that little bit of research. That gives the brain time to start digesting and thinking about this stuff. You have those interviews with everybody, and this is where it's, in my humble opinion, it's important to get an outside perspective. Whether it's me, which would be wonderful, or somebody else, it's important to get an outside perspective with the kind of mindset that allows them to naturally, you don't have to fight through this. You don't have to try and get creative. Get somebody who is a little creative. They may be a misfit on the corporate team. They may be a little odd, but they just see things a little bit differently, and they help you spot things that are probably right in front of you that you may not be seeing. And so, that's that. And then the third step is you just look and see if those creative minds can develop a way around. And in my mind, there's always a way around, always. And so you need some nut that thinks that to join the team. So that gets you.
Powerful.
Thank you. That gets you the first and second step. The first step is that quick, creative, rapid research, and the second step is identifying these hidden blocks and taking the time. Sometimes it takes a little time. Sometimes it's just as obvious as a 2x4 to the face. But you take a little time to make sure that you've spotted them, and it's usually, I'm telling you, it's usually a very small number. It's something that you absolutely hold to be true. That's the trick. It's hard to see when you absolutely hold it to be true in your mind right now. So that's the first step. And the second step, which is really the heart of the business. And if we have any questions on that you can think of, Marcus? Or
I do. We have a question
go.
from our audience, our VIP sponsors of the show. Miss Erica Holm, she asked the question, what about growth and fixed mindsets of an organization? How do you, that was in reference to overcoming those objections of the team, where the team, they have the common denominator. And if you can get the entire team to agree on the same thing, then we found the problem. Or if we flip the coin over, here is your answer. And everyone was right there.
Well, I appreciate the question. It's a good one. It's funny, too, because early on I struggled against that. I had what I called hidden resistors. There were people, and there are people that you may be working with that are grand and glorious and cheering you on, and behind the scenes, they're telling anybody, oh, listen, this won't work, and you don't even know, you don't see them coming, because they got they're working their network against you. And so I've got a couple of mantras in my life. One is, more leads cures all ills, because people suffer over their leads. Especially today with the technology we got, just get a flow of leads, get more leads flowing, and that takes care of a lot of problems. And a similar theme rolls through my head on this stuff is I'm a little bulletproof, because I've done this enough so that I know, this is faith. This is knowing beyond faith. I know that we can get this done. I know that we can reach a revenue turning point. And so for me, this stuff kind of bounces off. I don't necessarily spend my time, and I should probably differentiate between turnaround and reaching a revenue turning point. And it's an important distinction, because a lot of people think of these revenue turnaround companies, and there may be a time when they're needed, and some of them do absolutely great work. I got nothing against them at the right time. But if you can focus on a revenue turning point, you may not come to the point where you need all the expense and disruption of a team coming in with their calculators and their pads and their close inspection of every aspect of your operation. I mean, they'll be digging in, looking at everything that's going on and how it's working, and they'll be looking at each and every person to see what they're doing and whether they're still valuable or not, or are you the slow point and all that stuff. Forgive me, I don't care about any of that. I don't necessarily care about the naysayers on the team, unless they become if one really became problematic, and it's almost never happened, then I'll communicate with the lead team and let them know. But here's the magic. When you get to the third step, so we've now done a little creative research, and we've identified the blockages. Now we just allow a little bit of time, and sometimes it's 48 hours. You get a full download. Like occasionally the universe will just deliver an obvious plan. I mean, sometimes you can't write fast enough to take it down. And it's usually a very, very simple plan. And very often I like to work with the marketing department to go through their history and see what's actually delivered in the past, because sometimes it's just dusting off something they used to do in the past when they had a belief and confidence that they might be lacking today. So the magic is you just start moving forward. You don't have to, I'm telling you, you don't have to worry as much as you think you might about the mindsets and the people that aren't coming along, because you're going to come up with a plan and start testing things. And I always make sure that my clients are prepared that we're going to test some things. Some of them may not work, and it doesn't matter. We're going to test some more things. Some of them may not work. We're going to keep rolling, and we'll hit on one that starts to work, because it doesn't take too much to hit a revenue turning point. You just want 3 straight months to define the objective. It's not redoing the whole company. It's not answering every question. It's not going through every department. For me, and again, there may be a time for that, but for me, it's just a simple focus on reaching 3 straight months of year-over-year increased performance, so that on the chart, whether it's a flat chart or a declining chart, you see a turn. That's the thing that you can begin to build the energy over. That's the thing that even tired minds can get excited about. That's the thing that can reinvigorate teams. And so that's the focus in step 3, is to get that plan, make sure you got enough budget for it, talk to people about where you can borrow a few funds if you need to try something, take a few dollars away from something that's not working right now and apply it towards the test. Do whatever you got to do. And I find that if you can do the marketing that brings in $1.10 for every dollar you put out, then you make a friend down in accounting, and they'll let you do more of that. And so that's the trick. Is in step 3, we take the time to go ahead and start laying our plans and implementing and testing and quickly killing things that don't seem to be working and quickly testing something else and moving that way. And thank God for technology. I can't tell you how much work we did over the years, and now it's so simple, so easy. It just requires the thinking and somebody on board committed enough to keep after it. And so I hope that answered the question. It was kind of roundabout, but in the short answer is, I see that and I watch it, but I don't let it affect me. I just keep rolling through the process. We just start testing, and we start looking for results, and we celebrate the results, and we give credit to everybody and anybody that was breathing near that when it happens. It's not about me, it's about we. And we start to begin to celebrate the motion, and people who are on the fringe, and beginning to wonder, a couple of them may suffer through a little if it's kind of in their wheelhouse to get some of this done, and it's just starting to happen. So you got to make sure you treat those people right, and make sure that that they get attention on the subject, and they'll come along. I find they almost always come along, and the closer you get to that turning point, the failures only got one parent. That's the guy at the top. But success has got so many parents. There's so many parents. Just pass that love around, man, and you'll see that it's surprising who comes along. And if they're not, and if the change is a little too much for them, treat them well and help them find their next excitement. If that's something you're involved in, but just keep rolling. It's not gonna. I can tell you, it won't matter. You'll get there.
That makes sense. We have a quick commercial break, y'all. Go ahead. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Good day, podcast listeners. This is your boy, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I wanted to let you guys know that we will be rolling out a new feature and adding a join sponsor button next to the subscriber button here at the bottom of your screen. Once you click the button, it will display 3 membership levels. Gentleman Gentry, which is our entry level, Duke Duchess, which is our season level, and the Emperor and Empress, which is our most sophisticated level, which you will receive unique perks and benefits at each differing level. and gain access to our community tab. We will also be sharing polls, upcoming events, and interviews, as well as receive feedback from our sponsors directly. Your support helps me find new and exciting guests to bring to the stage live. Well, in order to get the higher end speakers, it requires, some, you guessed it, money. So thank you for tuning in to my channel. And if becoming a sponsor sounds good to you, then select the join button below and choose your desired sponsor level. Let's continue to grow and serve the future of generations of men and women to come. Love you guys. Bye. If you are tuning in, we have the incredible Mr. John Hastie, the creator, mastermind, founder of the Revenue Turning Point expert, and he is breaking down how to take your business, if it's on a decline or it's been on the decline for several years, how to turn that point around and turn that vantage point around so you can start making revenue again. Mr. Hastie, COVID-19 was a tumultuous year. It was a terrible year for businesses. Many restaurant owners suffered, and people were losing businesses and shutting their doors right and left. What would you say to, when should someone bring your company in? When should someone bring you in to help turn that point around? And when is it too late?
Wow. I've never thought about too late. I've never thought about too late. Yeah, that's interesting because, I have an internal mantra, good people coming together will find a way. I can think of one painful personal project where that may not have been entirely true, but I figure maybe I just wasn't seeing something. But I just always figure we'll find a way. So in my mind, I'm not sure that there ever is a too late. And I guess, if somebody is in a real pinch and, they just got nothing left to hit payroll, that may be a day that they begin serious conversations with their accountants and whatnot. And I would tell you that if one of your listeners ever finds themselves there, I don't know what, if anything, might come of it, but I'd be pleased to talk with them for a while and see if there's anything, even at that late stage, that we might be able to think of. So that's the late side. The early side, really, it depends on the mindset.
Right.
If you haven't started to feel it yet, if you're not in a position where you really feel like you want to make this happen and that you're committed to it, then it's difficult for me to come and help because the beliefs, they're stuck in your head. And without the motivation to take a look at things that you honestly believe are absolutely true in a new way, or at least let somebody help you do that. So it may be a little too early, and I wish it wasn't. I wish I could get to people earlier sometimes. Yeah. So for me, the sort of test point is if they're starting to feel it, and if they've had at least 3 months of flat or declining revenues, and they can see where that's taking them, then that's early enough. But I've had people that have been slowly declining. It's like that hound dog on the front porch laying on a nail. It hurts enough to moan and groan about it, but I'm not getting up. It's like I can't help. I can't help you till you're ready to get up. So
Sure.
Yeah. So earlier is almost always better if the team is ready to listen to my lunacy. Otherwise, I'll circle back. I'll keep an eye out and hope that, or hope that you pull my name out of that drawer when you think, this guy's just crazy enough to maybe help, and we'll give it a try then. But
you're not crazy at all. You've worked with numerous companies like IBM, Google, Toastmasters International, Berkshire Hathaway. What industries are you've worked with? What industries are really good that you've worked with, or what's your favorite industry to work with that you've seen had the most problems?
Oh, right now, the problems are spread everywhere,
Mm,
and for me, I love a challenge, and I
mm,
love learning. I love learning new stuff, and because of the background in research, I'm blessed to be able to do that pretty quickly. So, um, I have a commitment that if I can't and don't see something early on, and if I can't serve, and if I don't get the feeling that I can serve, then I don't want to take anybody's money. But I've never really run into the challenge yet. I'll dive in with both feet. I'll make phone calls to the industry. I'll talk to experts. I'll do what I have to do to get up to speed. I don't have to be your expert. I have to be the one that's seeing enough to spot the beliefs that are catching you. And so, yeah, I've had some interesting one that's coming to mind, and I have no idea why. You may recall when baby cams first came out, and they were using them in nursery schools and whatnot, so parents could watch their kids from home and make sure nothing was going wrong with those and all of that.
mm.
And we had one company that was nearly out of business after they took in $10 million of investors' money, which is not a happy place to be. And yeah, and so we looked into that and we got that turned around. A lot of it was because they were seeing so locally. They were just seeing the whole business built locally. They were doing their own installs, and they were doing, their own local contracts, and they're going out baby center by baby center. And so we just got them some national contracts, national contract to do the monitoring, a national contract to do the installs, a national contract to work with the sales team. We opened up their mind because they just weren't seeing, and business started flowing. So, I love new challenges. So I'm not thinking of one, and right now I think the problems are equally spread. I'm not thinking of a challenge that hits the mindset thing that I think was Erica that brought up earlier. I
She
think
did.
there may be some more industries that are prone to the mindset challenge, so I can see them challenged by the process a little more. An engineering mind, when they think they're right, that can take a little extra excitement. You gotta demonstrate some facts for them. You got to go out and make something. You got to make something happen before you win them. But yeah, so I think there may be some industries based on who they are and the level of technicality that they have. Even brain surgeons have an interesting thing. It's difficult for somebody who's got that much responsibility to admit that they may have been wrong about something, because there's a pain associated with that admission, because of some of the things that they've been through and the outcomes that they've had. So I would say those are the industry where we may face a little bit more challenge getting through the minds to get through the process. But as long as we've got leadership involved that's got the energy and commitment to move forward, we'll find a way. That's other industries. What was the one? Well, we did one that was a business incubator startup and it was interesting because that came at a time when when we started working with them, nobody knew what a business incubator was. This was a while back, and we had to do a lot of education. Then all of a sudden, these business incubators jumped in the market, made wild claims, they got funding, and they crashed and burned, and that just really muddied the waters for them. So we had a perceptual challenge to go over to the right process for business incubation versus what was being promised on the internet at the time, and so that we got through, but that was a challenge because the whole industry was suffering a perceptual challenge and overcommitment to investors that left investors
Pretty upset.
They don't take that well, and rightfully so.
Not at all. Not at all. Isn't the answer to more revenue just hiring more sales, like sales and marketing? Companies that are especially on the path to growth, rapid growth, is just hire more sales, will make more money. Hire more sales, will make more money. Isn't that the answer to just increasing my revenue and increasing, getting out of the red?
It might be, but it might be a hell of a budget badly spent if you've got a core belief that stops them from winning. So you got to get through step 2 before we get into step 3 and decide on the plan that's right for you. And sometimes that plan's one you've already worked. Back when you were, a company that's got some history, back when they were being successful, there may be just two things they got to do that they used to do that were really working well, or just an expansion to their distribution center. I've been at this long enough so that I've been down the path of a lot of different marketing and sales solutions. And you may have a specialty in your team that just exposes itself during these discussions that allows us to move forward quickly. We may have, like in the case of the baby cam thing, we may just have one relationship to build with you for a pre-existing distribution channel that's already in place. But if you believe in your heart that you can't do this because there's a regulation or there's a hurdle, there's this invisible blockage, then you don't want to spend all that money doing that and lining people up and making promises and commitments until we get past the little blockage first. When we can see past that, we know that it's not true, or we know that we can get around it, or we know that it's not going to have the impact that's going to stop us. Then we can define the plans. That's what step 3 is all about: defining the plans that are right for you, and then implementing as quick as we can. Test until one starts to stick, and then you roll. You hit your turning point, and once you've hit your turning point, that we've got 2 last steps to talk about. And just before I do that, did that get to your question?
That did.
Okay, because sometimes I get excited and I go different places. You gotta stop me. We go on to the third step. Really is all about doing what we need to do, churning through the steps, and exciting the team and those that we can, and hitting the turning point. And then we go to step 4. And step 4 is critically important. And it's funny because in our lives, sometimes we achieve something and we're excited, and we wake up the next morning and we go, what's next? We're on to our next big thing. And it seems like a small thing, but it's so critically important, because in step 4, that's the place where we can dramatically increase the value of your company and dramatically increase the excitement and renewed energy of your team if we just take a little time. And so step 4 is all about recognizing, communicating, celebrating that turning point. Just let the world know. I don't know what's happening with COVID, but we found a way. People will be knocking on your door to see what happened, and so we take the time and we begin planning the event. People think I'm crazy again, but we begin planning the event to celebrate the turning point pretty early in the process. I usually find some event planner in the mix that can at least get the ball rolling on getting that we don't know the date, but we know we're going to have a turning point. So start planning, and we do that because you want to make sure that, again, it's not about me. It's about the leadership. It's about the team. It's about doing something when everybody thought it couldn't be done, and getting everybody to understand there's been a turning point, and it's important and it's exciting. And I can tell you that if there's investors involved, that can have an immediate impact on the value of the entire organization as well as the team. And each individual team member, they look a little different. When it's a tired pony going downhill, those names on those resumes don't get the same zip when they do when they found a way to turn something around. Now it's a whole new team, and they've got value both to the existing team and any team they may serve in the future. So it's exciting stuff, so we just make sure that that's the focus of step 4. We can go through the details and the kinds of things we do, but that's the focus of step 4. Step 5 is all about making sure we take the time while we've been through this, to make sure that we're implementing the processes, the procedures, the steps, the ideas that will allow this team to move forward into the future and continue to grow. It's all about continuing to grow. It's all about looking out for your own blind spots. So we make sure that there's somebody on the team. Usually that's that one who's so loyal. He's the champion of the whole operation, but he's a little bit of a misfit or whatever. You're not quite sure what to do with him. He's your special teams guy, or or lady, you make sure that you've got somebody within the organization armed to keep an eye out for this blind spot, and so that you don't run into this problem again. And that's back to Erica's question. That's one of the things that helps everybody look forward with a different light and a different energy. And so those are essentially the 5 steps. The real focus is in the first 2, and then the 3 is all about implementation and hitting the step. 4 is all about celebration and increasing value. And I can think of, there are some real estate endeavors where people have had massive investments in real estate, and it's just, you can't get the units sold, or you can't get people to come in and occupy, and you're just reaching a revenue turning point on occupancy rate. What's that do to the underlying value of the asset? I mean, it's amazing how quick that can turn a corner. And so that's the value of taking that time to celebrate, and then making sure that we set the stage for ongoing growth, and that we inoculate the whole team against future invisible blockages.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mr. John, how can my audience connect with you? How can we learn more, and how can we grow with you for future endeavors and future business growth?
Well, I'm pleased to do that. There's only so many clients that we can serve personally, so we do 2 things, and the first is and we're really just getting started right now on our own online presence. So we're keeping it simple right now. The first thing is, I've got an outline for you of the steps and the things that we do within the steps. So you can get that you just go to the website right now, www.revenueturningpoint.com, and you'll see a page there where you can acquire that free outline. We call it a roadmap, so it's the Revenue Turning Point System roadmap, and I think you'll find that may be enough. If you've got a good team that's willing to look at itself and maybe even bring in a friend or some other person to kind of help them think about it. Is this true? Are we nuts here? If you're willing to look at yourself, with a little bit of a different focus, that roadmap all by itself may be enough to get you started towards your revenue turning point. And I hope that it serves you and does that for you. The other thing is that we do have, and you'll find the link. I've got to get it changed, but by the time people are hearing this, it should be changed. We do something special, and I don't have a lot of extra time, but I have made available some of my own personal time to have conversations with people on this subject. It's a revenue turning point strategy call. I'll visit with you for about 40 minutes. Sometimes, if I've got a little extra time, we go a little longer. But the focus of that is to dig into your challenge, and really take a moment to. Sometimes we won't look at our challenges. They hurt. So nobody's going to hear. Nobody's going to know about it. The CEO will never hear this unless you are the CEO, and then But we'll spend some time digging into the challenge, and then we'll spend a little bit of time talking about the strategy and how your next steps for getting things rolling. And people ask me sometimes, because I don't usually engage unless I'm engaging with a client, and some of those are paying a fair amount they're investing in a fair amount of money in their turning point and our work together, and so I don't often engage for small dollars, which in some cases is unfortunate, because I do like to help, but we'll spend our time there, and so these calls. And I don't put that kind of time out. Somebody asked me, well, what's it worth? What's it worth? I said, I don't know. I can tell you this. If somebody were to ask me to put it up on a website and sell it, I wouldn't let them do it for, I'd be arguing for $1,000. I might drop down to 500, but I just don't have a lot of extra time, even though I do love these calls. And so the reason that I put out the time that I have and I allow these calls is because I know it's a time when it's needed. And I know that, a lot of people don't have an extra $500 right now to invest, especially on somebody they've never spoken with before. So, I do these calls at no cost, and I make them available to any of your listeners. The challenge is that and I do it because I love these calls. I mean, the energy is so great when you take somebody who's feeling the challenge, and in 40 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour, you can get them turning around and feeling the hope. Oops, hold on a second. If you get them feeling hope again, and you get to hear a little bit more about digging into their industry, it's just joyful for me to do these. So that's the first reason I do them, is it's just a lot of fun for me, and I know it's making a difference. And the second reason is because it's one of my favorite ways of marketing. I do like to deliver value first and always. And so for me, I know, even though these are they're purely service-oriented calls, I will not bring up our services during that call. You'd have to bring it up yourself and beat it out of me, but I will not bring it up. These are service-oriented calls. But I know that when those calls are over, there'll be a few people out here that are going to want some extra help, and they're going to want to seek us out, and they're going to want to become clients down the road. And so, that's the catch, the grand catch, is I do this to help, and because I know that ultimately it'll lead to more clients for us. And we don't need many. I'm only starting out with about 17 personal clients this year for the remainder of the year, and after that we'll see if we have the enthusiasm to train some people and grow this thing.
Makes sense. Makes absolute sense. Mr. John, I thank you, sir, for taking time out of your busy day to give back in this way.
Yeah, my pleasure, Marcus.
This is absolutely phenomenal. I appreciate you, sir. I want to say this to you publicly. Please don't ever quit. Please don't ever give up. We need what you're doing. The world is changed by you and inspired by you every single day. So thank you for what you do. And thank you, my audience, this Gentleman Style Podcast family. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I hope this message has served you, and I hope this helps you take your business to the next level. And if your business is in a decline, I'm going to put that email back on the screen. If your business is on a decline and you need a revenue turning point, that's www.revenueturningpoint.com. Connect with Mr. John and his team and help get your business on the right path to financial success and get back on the green. So I hope this message has helped. We have to let Mr. John Hastie go. He has a company to run and a business and businesses to save, including mine. So thank you all for tuning in. I hope this helps. You all have a wonderful day. Like I end every show, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and take care of business. This is Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast, your favorite gentleman, and Mr. John Hastie signing off. Love you guys. Bye.